How's everybody doing? My name is Christopher Brown, and you're now watching Sports Talk with Chris. And today I'm here to talk about the blockbuster trade that happened yesterday between the Brooklyn Nets, the Houston Rockets, the Pacers, and the Cleveland Cavaliers. I'll be honest, I think I'm speaking for everybody that this caught us by surprise. This shocked me. Now, I'm going to, talk about, really dive into the press conference that happened between, things that John Wall said, DeMarcus Cousins said, and James Harden said a little bit later. But the sense I think for everybody is like after that press conference, James Harden is going to get traded soon. And then the rumors and the reports yesterday was saying, he's going to be traded by the end of the day. You had the Brooklyn Nets, they were in the mix. Ultimately, they got him. But the Sixers were in the mix. I heard Golden State's name. I heard the Celtics' name. And the Brooklyn Nets were the team that get the deal done. Now, in this episode, I'm going to dive into all four teams, what they gained, what they lost, and how it's going to affect them for the future and for right now. So to start off, let's start off with the Brooklyn Nets. Now, looking at the Brooklyn Nets and what they gave up Karis LeVert, Jared Allen, Taurean Prince, and about 7-8 picks. Did the Nets ownership, did the Nets management, do they not realize what they're doing? Yet again, they're giving up their future for rentals. James Harden, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, they're on short-term contracts. You gave up everything, your entire future. What if it doesn't work? What if after 2 years they don't like playing together? What if they all leave? Then what? Who's going to want to play in Brooklyn? I mean, yes, granted, you're going to have a lot of money seeing that Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, and James Harden make a combined $115 million. But, I mean, I just don't understand why they did that. Like, the Celtics said the Houston Rockets were asking for too much. The Celtics, I'll pull it up right now. The Houston Rockets wanted from the Celtics, which to me, in the beginning of the year, before the season started, I would have said yes to this trade. But after how I'm seeing this guy play, no. The Celtics, the Houston Rockets asking price for James Harden from the Celtics included Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, and multiple first-round picks. I would have said no. They were smart to say no. For the Philadelphia 76ers, they wanted Ben Simmons, Maxey, and Thibault on some picks. That's a no-no. The Nets were the one to do it. And if you ask me, they gave up way too much. I don't understand why I'll say this. James Harden's a talented player. James Harden's one of the best scorers we ever seen in the NBA. Ever. All time. We know what he can bring to the table. But what has he really proved? Now, yes, I know he had, lack of talent around him. But I've seen players with lack of talent around them still prevail to win championships. Still prevail at least to get to the finals. Now, okay, you could say, well, he was playing against that all-time great Golden State Warriors team. That was the only team that really dethroned them in the playoffs. But look how he played. The point being is that James Harden wasn't worth everything. He was worth a lot, but he wasn't worth the entire future. I'm glad the 76ers, you see the banner behind me, stood their ground, did not give up their entire future. Now, I love Ben Simmons, but what I would have done, Ben Simmons, 2 or 3 picks? Probably. From the Celtics, would I do Brown straight up? I don't know. Because Brown's taking that big leap. Ben Simmons didn't take that big leap. From the Nets, would I have gave up 8 picks and 3 players? Are you kidding me? The Nets had to give up a lot because of the money situation, but man, you gave up way too much. I'd have at least tried to keep at least 4 picks. But okay, you got James Harden on your team. Question is, what's going to happen? Now, I put it out on my social media with some questions you'd like for me to answer in this video. One of the questions are the Nets the favorite in the Eastern Conference? Well, for me, they were the favorite before this trade. Before this trade, I thought they had enough. Now, losing Dinwiddie, I thought that would hurt them. Because I think Dinwiddie's, because of the injury he had, I thought that was going to hurt him as soon as he got hurt. Because for me, I thought Dinwiddie's, impact, his value to the team would show more in the playoffs than the regular season. Because I thought his role would get bigger in the playoffs. So now, you don't have him. Okay, cool. You still got LeVert. You still got a whole bunch of pieces. They probably have the best depth in the NBA. But then you got it all for James Harden. But regardless, they're still the best team in the East. Regardless, to me, they're still the favorite in the East. Because look at it like this. James Harden, Kyrie, Kevin Durant, who's going to stop them when it's time to be stopping? Who's going to stop them in the clutch? Who's going to do it? You got 3 guys that can give you 40. 3 guys that can score all 100 points. So, I mean, regular season, to me, they're still the favorite. Now let's talk about some other things. In the beginning of the year, I said this would be the best offense in the NBA. Will it still be the best offense in the NBA? Now I'm not too sure because for me the problem might be, the ball might be stagnant, might be a lot of ISO. It might be. Because when this first came up months ago, I was saying I think it could work. Because you look at Kevin Durant, he doesn't need to take 50 dribbles to get a shot. You look at Kevin Durant, he played in Golden State where the ball was moving around, where he wasn't the main playmaker, where he was a lot off the ball. You look at Kyrie Irving played, with Jason Tatum. He played with Jaylen Brown. He also played with LeBron. So he had time where he played off the ball. He knows how to get his shots. He knows how to be efficient. Now James Harden, like I was always saying, he's the guy that had the ball in his hands the most. He's the guy that played more ISO ball than anybody. He's the guy that takes the most dribbles. So for me, you can still have, Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, playing a lot more off the ball. He's Spencer Dinwiddie times 2. That's what James Harden is. Because for me, Spencer Dinwiddie was going to be the guy that was going to initiate the offense, for this team. A guy that was going to be able to take advantage of mismatches for this team. A guy, when Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, the defense is just worried about them, he's going to be able to take over. James Harden is Spencer Dinwiddie times 2. Well, he's really times 100, but you know what I'm trying to say. For me, James Harden is going to be the primary ball handler for this team. He's, the best passer on this team. He led the league in assists before. His points may go down. I think his assists is going to go up. I truly believe James Harden is going to average 20 and 10 on this team. I do. I think they're going to be able to mesh perfectly. You got 2 guys that played off the ball. James Harden has some time playing off the ball, but not a lot. What I'm interested to see from James Harden is, can he adapt to playing some off the ball? Because he never, he played with him, with Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant, OKC, but that was a young James Harden. It kind of helps my argument because, he was that third guy. He was a 6th man, but that was a young James Harden. This is MVP James Harden we're talking about. So for me, out of all 3 of those guys, I think his game has to change the most because he never played with a whole bunch of superstars and played a lot off the ball. Even, when you had Chris Paul, even when you had Russell Westbrook, you was still high usage rate. So now it's time to see, can James Harden change his game? Because for me, he has to be the guy to do it. He has to be the guy to do it. All those other guys won a championship. They know what it takes. They know how to change their game. They had to change their game. James Harden never changed the game, and he never won anything. So for me, he's going to have to take less shots. For me, he's going to take a lot of catch and shoot threes. A good thing about this team is that all 3-star players are really, really good 3-point shooters. Now, to me, I think Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant are better than James Harden, but James Harden is still above average 3-point shooter. But for him, he's going to work on that catch and shoot 3-pointer. Because you're going to get a lot playing with those 2 guys. Somebody's going to fall asleep. He has to work on that catch and shoot 3-pointer. Like I said, he has to take a lot less shots. But I think it's going to work. I think he can average double-digit assists. For Kevin Durant, I don't think anything has to change. For me, he can take, 18 to 20 shots and score 27 plus. The thing about Kevin Durant is his defense is going to take another level because you lost all your defense. Karis LeVert was becoming a young star, and I'm going to talk about him and how he's going to fit with the Pacers. He was becoming a young star. His offense was improving. When Kyrie Irving, he's not here right now, and Dinwiddie being hurt, he's showing he can get you 20 plus, but his defense was taking another level. He's one of the best defenders in the game. You look at Taurean Prince, one of your best wing defenders. Jarrett Allen, your best defensive center. Because DeAndre Jordan is not the same. He's a little bit past his prime. Like, nobody wanted DeAndre Jordan. That's why nobody, asked for him in the trade. That's why he wasn't in the trade. He's a little bit past his prime. So you lost most of your defenders. Kevin Durant, the next step for him and how his game is going to change is he's going to take that challenge of guarding teams' best players night in and night out. Simple. He's going to have to be the team's best defender. Now, is that going to hurt his offense? I don't know. I don't think so. But the thing is, with this team, they lack a lot of individual defense. But with the right coaching and the right schemes, the team defense can be great. If you got communication, if everybody's on the same page, you can lack, individual defenders, but your team defense can, come together. Now, every team still does need that individual defender. But we've seen teams that have great defense that still never got it done. The Clippers were supposed to be, quote unquote, this great defensive team. What happened to them in the playoffs? So we've seen great defensive teams not being able to guard anything, with good individual defenders not being able to guard anything. So I don't want to say defense is overrated because this team has no defense, and I think it's going to hurt them at times. But if you have great team defense, I think, they can prevail. Next thing I want to talk about is the bench. I talked about how you lost LeVert, You lost Taurean Prince. You lost Jared Allen. Jared Allen was, for me, he was going to become that starter, but still, you lost 3 main role player guys. You look at the depth chart now, the projected starting lineup is Kyrie, James Harden, Joe Harris, KD, and DeAndre Jordan. Now, you have Joe Harris, in here. Joe Harris is going to have to become one of the best three-point shooters in the game. You got 3 guys that can destroy their man off the dribble, that the defense are going to be staring at them 24/7. He has to be locked and loaded, ready to go. But you look at their bench. Okay, you still got Shamet. You got Bruce Brown. You got Green. You got no big men off the bench. Unless Claxton, but I'm pretty sure he's out. Perry, but what's his status on him? It looks like Jeff Green is going to be this team backup 5. It looks like they're going to be small off the bench. Now, I necessarily don't like that because DeAndre Jordan defense isn't the same. At least when you had him and Jared Allen, one of the best defensive centers in the game. Shot blocking was terrific. Rim protection is terrific. But looking at this roster, they don't have the, big man defenders. Now, Bruce Brown, he's a good defender. He's a good defender. He hasn't played meaningful minutes, so he's going to have to really step up. You're losing Prince. You're losing Karis LeVert. 1, he's going to have to step up on that bench. 2, he's going to have to step up on his defense because of his defense. Same thing with Timothy Luwawu. If they take a next step on the defense, they might be playing in-game lineup. KD probably is, what Steve Nash said Kevin Durant's going to be at the 5. KD might be at the 5 at the end of the game, But all in all, was it worth it? That's the question I want to ask myself right now. Was it worth it? Was it worth trading away 3 players and 8 picks for James Harden? I still say no. I've asked myself that 5 times in the middle of this video. I still don't think it was worth it. I still don't think you trade away your entire future for a rental, a guy that's showing that he'll quit on the team. What happened if things don't go his way in Brooklyn? What happened if they won the championship the first year or the second year? Can you count on him? We don't know that. And after what he showed this year, I trust him a little bit less. So I wouldn't have traded away my entire future for James Harden because it could be 1 or 2 years, then he's gone. And we seen, I'll say this. We seen Kawhi go to the Raptors and win the championship that 1 year. But the Raptors didn't give up their entire future for him. That's where I'm stuck because I know how good James Harden is, but I stand on he's not worth a team's entire future. Now, with Kyrie Irving, we don't know what's going on with him, and no Kyrie Irving's, no Kyrie Irving bashing will ever happen coming out my mouth. Well, it never happened on my show, on my podcast. Kyrie Irving paid, he done so much, what he did for my university, how much he donated, how he's trying to affect, cause change. There's so much positive with Kyrie Irving. Nobody wants to talk about it. They want to talk about the negative. So I just said we don't know what's going on with Kyrie Irving. But when he comes back, we're going to have to see how this team, all 3 of them, play together. We're going to have to see, it's a question. Can Steve Nash handle it? You got 3 guys that, I don't want to call them divas, but I kind of want to call them divas. With a first-year head coach, I know you got a good staff around you, but can he handle it? I think that's a big question. But for me, I still think this team is the best team in the East. Still think they're the team to beat in the East. The only question mark is the defense. Defense. Is it going to come back to haunt him? An offense, can they all buy in? Me personally, I think James Harden is going to take a step back in shots. I think he's going to become a guy that's going to lead the league in assists. Because at the end of the day, you scoring 40 points hasn't won your team anything. take a step back. Don't shoot 20 plus shots. Shoot, 15, 14 to 18. Be efficient. Get to the free throw line a lot. Let same amount, maybe a little bit less threes. No, scratch that. A lot less threes. Cut them maybe in half. No 12 3-pointers a game. Maybe 7, 8. And get to the free throw line a lot more and lead the league in assists. The only way this team is going to win is James Harden changes his game. Now, one more question I want to ask is, do y'all think this team will make another move by the deadline with their mid-level accession, then sign some guys, then maybe make some trades? For me, the only thing this team needs to add is a backup center. A backup center and a backup ball handler. Because I'll say this. Karis LeVert was their bench. He had the biggest green light out of anybody coming off the bench. He was really their third best player, third best scorer. He was just coming off the bench. So you lose him. Like I said, you got Shamet, you got Bruce Brown, you got Green, you got Perry. I don't know what's going on with Tyler Johnson right now. You got Timothy Luwalu. I say all those names, and I want to be surprised if you say who. They don't wow you. Jeff Green is good, but he's not going to be a primary ball handler. You're not going to run your offense through him on a bench. So they're going to have to get somebody, bring Jamal Crawford back. Why not? But they're going to have to get somebody that can get offense, create offense off the bench. Now, next, I want to talk about how this affected the Houston Rockets and what they received. Now, to me, the Houston Rockets, they won this by a lot. They got Dante Exum, Kirkus, I'm not even going to attempt to butcher his name, Victor Oladipo, 4 first-round swaps, all unprotected, 4 first-round pick swaps, all unprotected. They got like 8 picks. They got the Nets 2022, 2024, 2026 pick, the Cavaliers 2022 pick swaps with the Nets in 2021, 2023, 2025, and 2027. Yet again, the Nets trade away everything for a rental. We know the Nets are not going to be good for the next 6 years. These guys are not staying for the next 6 years. Why did they keep doing this? They better hope they win a championship. Last time they didn't win a championship. If you win 1 or 2 championships, it'll be worth it for the Nets. But the Rockets, they're setting themselves up for the future. You look at Dante Exum on the expiring deal. You look at Victor Oladipo on the expiring deal, and he's looking to leave. So you might be able to set up your future if you trade him to a team like Miami that wants him, or some other teams that might want a Victor Oladipo before the deadline. You have all those picks. The Rockets, I'll say this. I thought this team could make the playoffs, if they'd have kept James Harden. But he didn't show any effort to try to compete after that first 1 or 2 games. He's been trash, very, very trash, for the past 6-7 games. The team didn't reach their full potential because of James Harden. Not because of anything else, not because of lack of talent, not because of coaching, not because, you can't beat anybody. You didn't reach your full potential because you were not playing like the quote-unquote James Harden we're supposed to know. DeMarcus Cousins, his comment said, he came out and said, if you didn't hear the audio, I'll make sure to, put the link in the bio. Link in the comment section. But he came out and said, man, I came here to play with John Wall. I don't know about everybody else. And John Wall was saying, well, guys weren't buying in. DeMarcus Cousins also said that the disrespect, started before the season, started in training camp. And I 100% agree. You came to training camp late. You were flaunting what you're doing. You came to training camp out of shape. And it's like you didn't even try. Me personally, my thoughts on it is that, okay, we saw AD how ugly the situation is. I would have just wished the dude would have just sat out entirely. Just say, trade me. I'm not playing until you trade me. He probably would have got hit with some fines. If you didn't want to get fined, at least show a little effort. You were looking like trash. That's why I was saying, throughout the beginning of the year, why would a team give up so much for a guy playing and acting like this? At least AD was balling out, and then the team decided not to play him in the fourth. And then they just came to agreement not to play him. But at least AD was balling. James Harden was looking like trash, came out of shape, disrespecting everybody. And I feel bad for the head coach right now in Houston because he paid his dues in the NBA, assistant for decades. And now he has to come into this. So hopefully they can fix that. But man, for me, the future is bright for Houston. Because like I said, you got guys on expiring deals. John Wall, he's going to play his couple years. Hopefully, he could bring something. Hopefully this team can still fight to make the playoffs. I mean, when you look at their team, it's really not that bad. When you look at the starting lineup. It's really not that bad. John Wall, VO, you're probably going to start House. You got Ben McLemore in there too. I've seen people talking about starting Eric Gordon. No, you need that guy off the bench. So you can start House or you can start Ben McLemore, PJ Tucker, and Christian Wood. Off the bench, you still got Boogie, you still got EG. You got one of those wings I was talking about. You got Nwaba, you got Tate. So this team, may or may not make the playoffs. I say they'll probably fight for the play-in squad. But regardless, they're going to have a high pick, and regardless, they're going to have picks for the future, and they're going to have money. So the future is bright for Houston. Very, very bright. And they came out on top. I just truly don't understand why the team gave up their entire future for a rental. I truly don't understand that. I'll never understand it. But, I'm glad Houston won out of this situation because it was looking very, very ugly for them. And at times I was saying, damn, this franchise might go out bad. But they came out on top. They finessed the situation. To me, they're the biggest winner. I don't think there was any losers. Even I say that Brooklyn gave up too much, you're still getting James Harden. We know what James Harden is. I say he hasn't proven anything, but who knows? Things might change. You hope they would change. And with the caliber player that he is, you would expect him to change. So for me, I think the title shots increased. I talked about defense. I talked about stagnant offense. But getting James Harden, to me, is still a W. The Rockets, they took the biggest W. The next team I'm going to talk about is the Cavaliers. The Cavaliers swooped in. They got Jared Allen. They got Taurean Prince. They had to give up a pick. They had to give up Exum. They had to give up Korkos. But like I said, those two guys were on expiring deals. Those two guys weren't really doing anything. You get Jared Allen, you get Taurean Prince. Taurean Prince is going to help them on the wing. They needed a guy like that on the wing. They needed a consistent 3-and-D guy, a consistent two-way player on the wing. And he's still relatively young. You got Jared Allen. Now the question is, look at all the forwards, big men you got. You got Love, you got Nance, you got Allen, McGee, Drummond. Somebody has to go, and I believe they'll make a trade. A lot of teams are probably going to want a JaVale McGee, before the deadline. Teams might want an Andre Drummond before the deadline. But me personally, there's no way you keep all three. And I don't even think that's me personally. I think that's the consistent thought throughout everybody. There's no way this team can keep all three. Who are they going to build a future around? Jared Allen is younger, so you say him, Sexton, Garland, that's a nice big three, to move on. Does Drummond go? Does McGee go? At least one or two will go. You still have Kevin Love. Do you move him? So for me, from the Cavaliers, I'm looking at offers, okay, it'll be nice to get into the play-in, tournament. Okay, it'd be nice to get into the playoffs. Right now they're 5-7. They started off good, but, with injuries and COVID, they hit a rough spot. Listen, I got to make moves. I got to get this roster better because they still don't have, backup guards. They still got guys not here. The Cavaliers, they came out and people saying, oh, they didn't win. You got Jared Allen, you got Taurean Prince, two guys that you needed. Now you have more room to flip other guys like Drummond, Love, and McGee. So for me, the Cavaliers won. I was shocked they even entered the trade. But, for money reasons and things like that, they came out and they got a W. Now, the last team we're going to talk about is the Pacers. The Pacers, bye-bye Victor Oladipo. And respect to Victor Oladipo because he did something that James Harden didn't do. And no, James Harden didn't earn the right to come out here and act like that. You ain't win no championship. You didn't win no championship. Come playoff time, you didn't always perform the best. So his antics, I never agree. I still don't agree with him. I may a look. No, I don't agree with him. I was gonna say I may a little understand it, but not really. Because like I said, at least AD came out and performed. And Victor Oladipo came out and performed. When it was time for, he wanted to trade. We all knew that. He wanted to get out of here. LA, Miami, probably the top two teams that he wanted to go to. But he came out and performed and balled out every single game. He didn't come at training camp 10, 15 pounds out of shape. He didn't come complaining, talking to the media. He did what he had to do. He was quietly about it. He moved silently. And he got traded to Houston. Now, that might not be the spot he wanted to go to, but Houston could still flip him. So at the end of the day, respect to Victor Oladipo. He's a good player. He's going to ball out in Houston, because that backcourt, I know I didn't touch on it, but I say it now. That's going to be a good backcourt between him, John Wall, especially when John Wall gets healthy. The athleticism, the defense, I can't wait to see that. But the Pacers came out with a big W. You got Malcolm Brogdon, starting point guard. Go ahead and get a LeVert. You got Justin Holiday, who's a shooter. You got Sabonis. You got Miles Turner. Your core guys are on contract for the next 3 years. W. Because Victor Oladipo is an expiring contract. So you got something for him. You go ahead and got Karis LeVert, who I believe, hot take, is probably going to make the All-Star team in the Eastern Conference. I think he's going to average 20+. I think his defense, like I said, was improving in Brooklyn. Now we're going to see how good of a defender he is. I think he's a star in the making, and he's been a star in the making. So for him right now, going on this Pacers team, him and Brogdon, that backcourt is going to be nasty. That backcourt is going to be nasty. You got two guys that can play on and off the ball. You got Brogdon, who is a former 50-40-90 guy. He can shoot, he can defend, he can play make. That's going to be a great backcourt. For me, the Pacers, for the future-wise, they still have question marks on the bench. But, when you get T.J. Warren coming back, when he comes back, you got McConnell. They still need a backup big. But the Pacers, they're great for the future. The future for the Pacers is amazing. Cannot wait to see it. You go ahead, you get a LeVert. I'm going to say for free, because there's no drop-off between him and VO. If anything, at this point, he might be a step ahead of VO. I loved what the Pacers did. Now, to wrap it up, my questions for everybody watching this. Who do you think won the trade? Who do you think lost the trade, if there were any losers? Do you think Brooklyn gave up too much? Do you think Brooklyn, are the favorite to win a championship? Do you think they can win a championship? Do you even think they can make it out the East? What about the Pacers? Do you think this put them in a better position for them to succeed in the Eastern Conference? Do you think the Cavaliers can make the playoffs? Do you think the Rockets can make the playoffs? What big-time trade do you see happening next? That's my question to you guys, but thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting. If you want to contact me, if you want to, engage with me, I'm on all social media platforms. Find me Instagram and Twitter at sportsw_Chris. You can find my Facebook page at Sports Talk with Chris. I got a daily podcast 6 times out of the week. Man, this big-time trade, we're going to be talking about this for weeks. Especially when we get to see Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, James Harden on the floor together. I cannot wait. But like I said, thank you for the support. And until next time, peace.